Okay, students, so we will be continuing with vulnerable sections. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, students, so last lecture we discussed about social justice. I gave you a brief discussion on social justice, and in social justice we saw a section called vulnerable section of the population, topic called vulnerable section. Okay, and in that vulnerable sections, okay, we studied about children, women, elderly, transgenders, then minorities, then SCs and STs. Okay, so these were some of the vulnerable sections that we are going to study, but today we are going to discuss about vulnerable section called children. Okay, students, so we will be discussing about children. So children are one of the most vulnerable sections that we see in our society. Okay, so childhood is a very delicate stage of everyone's life. Okay, but some children are very much unfortunate in the society that they don't get the needed privileges that they should get in the early stages of their life. Okay, and this tend to hamper their growth. And they tend up growing, means they turn up some like some children tend to grow criminals. Their adulthood is not peaceful or not good because their childhood is not good, but it's not their fault, right? Okay, so you have to remember, students, one thing, that during childhood the role of the child is to study, to go to school and study. Okay, he's not supposed to do other works like child labor, okay, or any other things he's not supposed to do, but his job is to go to school. If he will not go to school in the childhood, then when would he go to school, right? That's why you must be saying that there is a sub organization of United Nations, that is UNICEF. Okay, so UNICEF does lots of funding worldwide for the care of the children, for taking care of the children in their early stages, right? So we will start with the topic called child labor. Okay, so it is one of the sensitive issues in our today's life. While traveling or while visiting any places, you may see that small children working on tea stalls or restaurants, or you may even see they are working in some construction sites as well. Okay, so what happens is it's a normal sight for Indians, okay, or in our society it's a common sight. But what happens is if child works in as a labor, so somewhere or the other the child is compromising his studies or he is compromising to go to school, and because of this thing his the other children get proper education and such children they won't get proper education they need, and they tend up to grow, means some other behavioral changes you can see in such children. Okay, so let's start about, let's discuss about child labor. Okay, so we will see some figures, facts and figures. So we will be studying as per the census 2011, because the census which was to be concluded in 2021 has still not concluded. So the latest data we have is the data of 2021 2011 census. Okay, now they have clearly mentioned as per the 2011 census in the age group of 5 to 14 years. Now 10.1 million of 259.6 million constituted working children. Okay, means the total labor force is approx 259.6 million in 2011 census, and out of that 10.1 million of them were children in the age group of 5 to 14. So it's a very huge or humongous number. Okay, if you compare, it's a very huge number compared to the world. India has a very huge number of child labor, so it's a very much a cause of worry and cause of concern. Okay, so it's a kind of a wake up call. So we should wake up and we should act against this. Government as well as the civil society, both of them should take the responsibility and they should work towards reducing the menace of child labor, right? Okay, so next is, okay, so even though there was a decline in number of working children to 3.9% in 2011 from 5% in 2011. So you have to remember, students, that there was a decline in the number or the ratio of child labor. Means in 2001 there was 5% and in 2011 there was 3.9%. Okay, and the decline rate is grossly insufficient to meet the target of 8.7% of UN Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so target 8.7 is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that we have to meet by 2025. So the target is very much hard. But if you see what happened is, from 2001 to 2011 there was reduction in child labor, but what happened is we were expecting a further decline in 2021 census. But what happened is there was COVID pandemic, and because of COVID pandemic the situation worsened and there was further increase in the child labor, in the number of child labor. Okay, so United Nations Sustainable Development Goals you have to remember, and you have to see where there is anything related to child or not. Okay, so let's see. First is no poverty. Goal number one is no poverty. Second is zero hunger. Third is good health and well-being. Okay, now we are focusing on not only health but good health. Then fourth is quality education. Then gender equality. Okay, sixth is clean water and sanitation. Seventh is affordable and clean energy. Not only clean energy but affordable and clean energy. Then eighth is decent work and economic growth. Ninth is industry, innovation and infrastructure. 10 is reduced inequalities. So you can count child labor under this thing. Then sustainable cities and communities. Okay. 12th is responsible consumption and production. 13th is climate action. 14th is life below water. 15th is life on land. And 16th peace, justice, strong institutions. And 17th is partnership for goals. Okay. So child labor you may count in poverty as well as reduced education and education as well. You can connect these goals with child labor. Okay. So let's see what else is there. Okay. So now we will see the types of child labor in India. So across India, child laborers can be found in variety of industries. We can find child labor not only in restaurants or tea stalls but various other industries as well. Okay. So let's see where we can find the child labor. Okay. So we can find them in brick kilns. Okay. Brick kiln means where the bricks are made from soil, we make bricks. Okay. Then in carpet weaving industry. Okay. If you go to Kashmir and northern India, there is a famous industry called carpet weaving. There also we see a large number of child labor. Children are made to do such work. Okay. Then there also you can also see them in garment making. Okay. Garment industry also you can see a huge number of child labor. Okay. Where else? In domestic services as well. Okay. In lots of big bungalows or in the where the rich people live, you will see the people, the children who are working in their home, especially in northern India, in New Delhi and Noida region. You may see that children from the Pahadi region of Uttarakhand and Nepal and Himachal Pradesh, they are working as child labor in their home. Okay. It's a common sign. Then food and refreshment services such as tea stalls, it is also a common sight where you will see child labor. Okay. And they are also, children are also maltreated, they are also beaten up by their owners. Okay. And especially in agriculture as well. Even in agriculture industry or agriculture sector, you will see a huge number of child labor they are working. So you have to remember these things where you can find child labor in various industries like brick kilns, then carpet weaving, garment making, domestic service, food and refreshment services such as tea stalls and agriculture. Tea stall is a very common sign where we see child labor. Especially we call them chotu ek chai lana or chotu ek pani ki bottle dena. That choti is no other than child labor. Then you can see some facts on child labor. Okay. So 11%, that is 5 million, are trapped in slavery like condition. Okay. Then 43%, Asia Pacific has the largest share of children working in hazardous conditions with about 43% of global total. Asia Pacific means the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean where it mixes, especially the Southeast Asian region. Okay. There you can see 43% of children are working as child labor. Then you can see 70%, more than 70% of the world's 168 million children child laborers are between 5 to 14 years of old. Okay. So 70% of the world child labor, it is between the age of 5 to 14 years of age. Okay. Then you can see 16% between 20 and 30% of children in low income countries, okay, become child labor by the age of 15. Then almost half of the world child laborers do hazardous jobs that could be detrimental to their health and well-being. Okay. They work in hazardous industries like the industries such as coal mining and crackers industry, because the gunpowder and the coal ash is very very injurious to your lungs, and in the child once those things enter their lung, then whole of their life is crippled later on. Okay. So you can see here, child is meant to learn, not to earn. Okay, first let him learn, then later on in his life he can earn. But obvious, but if he is meant to earn in the early stage, then the rest of the life he remains a laborer, and he ends up being pushed into poverty and slavery. So the Indian Constitution provides free and compulsory education for all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. Okay, you can see here the Constitution is providing the safeguard for children, because the children of the age group between 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right under Article 21A. So they have made it a fundamental right. What? Free and compulsory education has been made a fundamental right. And you can see there are lots of schools in villages as well as in the cities, especially the municipality schools and the Jilla Parishad schools. Okay, so these schools, they provide free education for children. The only thing is, whoever the parents are, they should enroll their children in the school, and after some year, once they attain their education, they may end up getting up good jobs. Once they get good job, they can earn good money, and hence the parents may also be come out of it will also help their parents to come out of poverty. Okay, so you have to remember such things whenever there is question on child labor. You should mention such things, or children. If there is a question on children, you can quote this thing, that Indian Constitution provides free and compulsory education for all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right under Article 21A. Okay, so it's a fundamental right. So the situation of child labor in India. So what is the situation of child labor in India? Okay, so the number of children working as child labor came down by 11 million in last 2 decades, which demonstrate that the right combination of policy and program interventions can make a difference. Okay, now you can see this thing as a means one of a good success, quite a good success. Okay, because child laborers came down by 11 million in last 2 decades, because in 20 years, in 2 decades, the number of child laborers had reduced, which demonstrate that the policy and program of the government was making a difference. Means they were working successfully, not quite good success, means not that successfully, but at least they were showing some results. But COVID-19 pandemic has undone a lot of gains. Just I have mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, what happened was everything was working well, but once the COVID pandemic came, this further pushed some people into poverty, and because they were pushed into poverty, they were asked, they had to ask their children to work somewhere, or they had to even sell their children. There were lots of such things going on in North India. Okay, so this was a big setback for our government or our policymakers, that was COVID-19 pandemic. Orphan children are particularly vulnerable to trafficking and other exploitation like forced begging or child labor. Okay, so this thing also there is forced begging. Okay, so forced begging is there, or child labor is there. Okay, so you must have seen in large cities, if you wait on signals, on traffic signals, you can see lots of small children, they are begging. So what we call it as, it is called as forced begging. Okay, they have no wish of begging, but these children, they are forced to beg, they are forced to beg, okay, by their masters. Okay, clear? And most vulnerable they have mentioned is they are the orphaned children. Orphan children are most vulnerable. Okay, clear? Because in COVID-19 pandemic there were lots of deaths, lots of parents they died, both mother and father died, and lots of there were huge number of orphan children. So these orphan children were more vulnerable than normal children, and they were pushed into trafficking, okay, child trafficking, and forced labor and child labor. Okay. Hmm. In such families, there is also the likelihood of older children dropping out of school to support their younger siblings. There are lots of examples. Once the condition of a family changes, once there is a economic crisis or problems in the family, what happens is the older children they tend to go to work to support their younger siblings. Okay, so this also increases the chances of child labor. Okay, so you can see this figure, you can see that child labor in India, 10.1 million children engaged in work in India. The number of children engaged in work between 5 to 14 years. Okay, so you can see that there are 4.5 million females and 5.6 million males according to 2.11 census. Child labor is most prevalent in Uttar Pradesh, 2.1 million, okay, then 1 million Bihar, then 0.72 million Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra is also not far behind, 72.72 million, and Rajasthan also 0.84 million. These are the figures of some state. UP being the highest. In Uttar Pradesh you will see the highest number of child labor. Okay, a recent change, child labor is now invisible because the location of the work has changed from factories to homes of business owners and workers. Okay, so what they are saying is, okay, that telling is the child labor is not that much visible which was visible 25-30 years back, because child labor has changed its location. You won't see child laborers in factories now, but you can see them, you can locate them in the homes of business owners and workers. Okay, then the source of all this data is UNICEF, which is a agency of United Nations, right? Then you can again see here that child labor constitutes for 13% of the workforce of India. Means the total workforce of India in 2001 census, of that 13% consisted of child labor. Okay, and if you compare 2001 to 2021, in rural India there were 11.3 million in 2011, and in 2011 there were 8.1 million. In urban areas it has increased to 1.1 million to 2 million. Okay, so children are engaged in manual work which includes cotton growing. Okay, in cotton agriculture industry or cotton fields, cotton agricultural fields, you can see lots of child labor. Then in matchbox factories, okay, so matchbox, you know that for making matchbox or matchsticks there is use of hazardous chemicals like phosphorus, and phosphorus is not good for health, and the children that work in those industries they handle the phosphorus, and they may even have food without washing their hands. So this further challenges their health issues. Okay, Then in tea gardens you may see children, mining there is children, and lock making factories. Okay, so this was the data or information, and its source was but obvious UNICEF. Okay, you also have to mention agencies like UNICEF and census like 2011, and whenever the census comes off, 2021 census will be published within 1 or 2 years. That time you have to use the data of 2021 census. Okay, so situation of child labor in India, that we will see. Okay, according to the CACL survey, more than 94% of children have said that the economic crisis at home and family pressure had pushed them into work. So what is CACL? Yes, anyone? What is the full form of CACL? So you have to say that the full form is what? Campaign against child labor. So campaign against child labor means CACL survey. Okay, so according to the CACL survey, more than 94% of children have said that economic crisis at home and family pressure had pushed them into work. Means if you want to address child labor in long term, if long term you have to address the child labor, you have to first address the economic issues. Okay, economic crisis, once you address economic crisis, automatically the child labor issue can also be countered, right? So most of their parents had lost their jobs or earned very low wages during the pandemic. So what was the issue? That most of the parents, they had lost their jobs or earned very low during the pandemic, and this led for what? Their entry into the labor force. Okay, then poverty and child labor vicious cycle. We will see the vicious cycle of poverty and child labor. So what happens is, you can draw these diagrams in your answer sheet as well. If you draw such diagrams, examiner will be very much clear, okay, what the candidate has to express. Okay, so poverty leads to low income. So because of poverty there is low income, but obvious, and once there is low income, poor family, there is poor family conditions. If the income is low, the family conditions are poor, and poor family conditions forcing children to work as child labor. And once the children enter into the labor force at the very young age, the low income force, their income is low for rest of their life, and again they become poor. Okay, so child labor is because of poverty, and poverty is because of child labor. So somewhere or the other we have to, means it's very necessary for them to come out of the child labor and gain education. Okay, you can again see hunger, poor health and living conditions are because of lack of education. Okay, and lack of education because of lack of opportunity, and this further leads to low income. And once the income is low, again hunger, poor health and living conditions, again lack of education, lack of opportunity and low income. So poverty and lack of education form a vicious cycle. Okay, so you have to understand such things very carefully. Okay, so we will see the government measures undertaken in India to eradicate the child labor in India. So first thing is Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act of 1986. So in 1986 there was an act passed called the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act. Okay, and from this time there is a certain reduction in the amount of child labor. Okay, so to prohibit the engagement of children in certain employment and to regulate the conditions of work of children in certain other employments. So what was the aim of that act? The aim of the act was, that is Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986. So you have to remember the year as well. Okay, for each act you guys have to remember the year as well. So the aim of this act was to prohibit the engagement of children in certain employments and to regulate the conditions of work of children in certain other employments. Okay, clear? Okay, so this act did not completely prohibit the child labor, but it transferred the conditions of work of children in certain other employments. Okay, right, means in this act it was mentioned that children should work, but they should work only in good condition, not in hazardous conditions. Like hazardous chemical factories, they are not supposed to work. So the children would be removed from the hazardous work conditions and they would be placed under normal working conditions, but it did not completely prohibit the child labor. Okay, so you can see amendment was made in that act, and Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act was brought in year 2016, and the amendment act completely prohibits the employment of children below 14 years of age. So you can see the difference, right, students? You have to remember one thing, that this act, the 1986 wala act, okay, it did not completely prohibit the engagement of children, but it only prohibited the engagement of children in the hazardous work conditions, but not in the normal conditions like the tea or restaurants. There the child labor was allowed. It just said that children would be transferred to normal working conditions. But the next act, which was amendment, this act was amended in the year 2016, and this completely prohibited the employment of children below 14 years of age. So the amendment which was brought in the year 2016, it completely prohibited the employment of children below 14 years of age. Okay, so the amendment also prohibits the employment of adolescents in the age group of 14 to 18 years in hazardous occupation and processes, and regulates their working conditions where they are not prohibited. Okay, clear? So the Amendment Act of 2016 also prohibits the employment of adolescents, that is between age group of 14 to 18 years kids, in the hazardous occupations and processes. Okay, and regulate their working conditions where they are not prohibited. So this Amendment Act is very very important, students. Okay, because it completely prohibits the employment of children both in hazardous and non-hazardous conditions. So guys, if you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment box. Please comment in the comment box if you have any doubt regarding this session. Okay, so next is National Policy on Child Labor, which was published in 1987. So with a focus more on rehabilitation of children working in hazardous occupation and processes rather than on prevention. It focused on what? Rehabilitation rather on prevention. So the year in the 80s decade, you can see that the more focus of government was on rehabilitation, okay, rather than prevention. But the economic conditions or the political conditions were not as such, what I think. But then too, they should have prevented, they should have made a law regarding the prevention of child labor in such conditions, okay. Then you can see the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000 and amendment to the Juvenile Justice Act in 2006. It includes the working child in the category of children in the need of care and protection without any limitations of age or type of occupation. So Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000 and amendment of the Juvenile Justice Act in 2006 includes the working of children in the category of children in the need of care and protection without any limitation of age or type of occupation. So section 23, cruelty to juvenile, and section 26, exploitation of juvenile employee, specifically deals with the child labor under children in need of care and protection. So you have to mention these two things in this act as well as section of this act. Then there are other initiatives, like the government has launched a dedicated platform with pencil.government.in to ensure effective enforcement of child labor laws and end child labor. So what is pencil? Basically it's an online platform. It's an online platform. Suppose if you are traveling or you are moving in your city and you see some issues of child labor, okay, if you see some restaurant or a tea stall or any small industry where there is a huge number of child labor, so you can take on the photos, or even if you don't have photos, you can type the information on this website, that is pencil, okay. So it's a dedicated platform, okay. Then there is right to education act 2009, okay. So we have seen it has been made mandatory or compulsory for the state. So okay, so it is compulsory for the state to ensure that all children aged between 6 to 14 years are in school and receive free education, so that they could receive free education along with article 21A of the Constitution of India recognizing education as a fundamental right. So they have said education is given the status of a fundamental right under the article 21A of the Indian Constitution, and it makes every child aged between 6 to 14 years should receive education, okay. Constitution of India recognizing education as a fundamental right. This constitutes a timely opportunity to use education to combat child labor in India. So you can use education to combat child labor in India, okay. Then there are many NGOs like Bachpan Bachao Andolan. So there is a education NGO called. You can also mention such NGOs in your examples or in your answers, like Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Then there is Care India. Then there is Child Rights and You. Then there is Global March Against Child Labor, okay. Then there is Ride India. Then there is Childline, etc. have been working to eradicate child labor in India. So all these things, they are working to eradicate child labor in India, okay. Okay, So this was all regarding child labor. So if you have any issues, you can mention in the comment box. Okay, right? Okay, so next lecture, next topic we will be starting on child, that is child marriage. Child marriage is the next topic. Okay, so child marriages were very common in the ancient period or in the medieval period as well, but soon as we got independence, we enhanced laws, we framed our constitution, and the marriage age was increased. But if you see in the early age, guys used to get married at the age of 10, 12, 14. This was a very common sight. Even if you see some of the great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi or Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, even guys, or Jyotiba Phule, even such gentlemen or such guys were married at a very young age. Okay, but as you see today, the minimum marriageable age is 21, both for boys as well as girls. It was 18 before, but of late it has been increased to 21, or it was going on, I guess. I am not sure whether they have passed it or not, but later on I will tell you that the marriages for girls has been increased from 18 to 21 or not. Okay, so let's start. So first we'll introduce. So recent analysis of UNICEF points out that 1 in 3 of the world's child brides live in India. Means the child brides in the world, means one out of the 3, means 33, or almost around 33% of the child brides in the whole world, one third or 33% they live in India. This is the recent data or analysis given by the UNICEF. Okay, it has also warned India against the increase in child marriage owing to the adversities of COVID-19. Again, we see students, post COVID-19 the situation has worsened a lot. Okay, after first we saw that after COVID-19 there was increase in the number of child labor. Okay, and now we see there is also increase in the number of child marriages as well. Okay, and child marriage or child labor have got a strong linkage with poverty. Okay, covid-19 led the COVID-19 led to increase in poverty, and poverty further led to increase in what? Child labor and child marriages. Okay, so to achieve the commitments of ending child marriages by 2030, it becomes important to integrate the COVID-19 responses with child marriage elimination effort. So we have a commitment of ending child marriages by 2030 is our target. So by 2030 means within 7 years we have to end child marriages. Okay, so it becomes very important to integrate the COVID-19 response with child marriage elimination efforts. Okay, so what are the factors that lead to child marriage? The factors that encourages its subsistence are usually a combination of. So the factors are a combination of what? Poverty. Again, The root cause of each evil is poverty, students. Okay, so if you counter poverty, or if you if there is economic development, automatic lots of the social problems will come to an end, or they could be countered by only countering poverty. Okay, or giving enhancement to economic growth and development. Second is but obvious, lack of education. Okay, if the women or bride is uneducated, okay, she won't be getting a good job, and because of that she would be forced to marry someone which her parents want her to marry. Okay, you can see here there is a dire or a very disturbing picture. You can see that some parents are forcing that girl to marry at a very young age, and cultural perspective that encourage the phenomenon to thrive. Okay, so there are culture as well. Okay, so lots of superstitions were there in North India as well, in some parts of South India as well, that to please some deity or please some goddesses, the girls have to get married at an early stage. Again you can see the vicious cycle. The child marriage perpetuates cycles of poverty. Okay, girls who marry young lack educational and economic opportunities. Okay, so the girls who marry early, they lack what? Educational and economic opportunities, and because of that child brides are more likely to remain poor, and once they remain poor, the impoverished families may choose child marriage to reduce expenses, and once the family is poor, they may sell their child. Sell means they will marry off their child to someone to get rid of, because they don't have money in the for future. Okay, you can see here Asia Child Marriage Initiative. So we are looking at Asian Child Marriage Initiative. So why do girls get married as children? Right, so younger wives are considered to be more obedient. So there is a misconception in our society. In our society there is a misconception that the younger brides are considered to be more obedient. They are considered to be more obedient. The older girl gets, the higher their dowry will be for their parents. So again there is another misconception in the society, that if the bride gets older and older, the more dowry they will have to pay. Okay, then girls marry early because their families believe this protects girl from sexual violence and protects their family from stigma. So what happens is, the child is seen as a burden. It is seen as a burden for the parents, because if the girl is unmarried and she goes to college, or even after some time she does some job, so while traveling to college or while coming to home, she would be sexually abused, or she might be stalked by some guys. So before such things happens, she is married off at an early age. Then laws that protect girls aren't enforced. This is the biggest problem of our society. If you see, the laws are there in a society or in the country, laws are very much there, but they are never been enforced. The criminals or the guys who commit such things, they can easily get away with any crime they commit in the society. Okay, right. Then another issue is the inequalities between boys and girls. So there is large number of inequalities between boys and girls. Okay, so just a minute. So all the most of the things that you learn in social justice are the things that you see around in your society or in your family. Okay, you can strongly relate those things to these topics. And what will these things do? If you can strongly relate these things, so you can write good answers in your papers as well. But you don't have to write anything of your own mind. You have to read such things, newspapers, articles and all those things. Then after relating, then you can write in your paper. So you can consider such things, and you can mention about Asia Child Marriage Initiative, and you can also mention why do girls get married as children. So first thing comes is younger wives are considered to be more obedient, they are considered more obedient. Then the older girls get, the higher their dowry will be for their parents. So the whole issue is that of dowry. Okay, so dowry is another social evil that is prevailing in our society. And such dowry, what dowry does is, because of dowry people tend to do some other things, means they are forced to marry off their girls at a very young age. Okay, so that means if the girl is getting good education, okay, so there is no need for dowry. If a girl get good education, she is performing a good job, or if she gets a government job, then the conditions may change and even she can demand dowry from the boys. But it's a wrong thing. Dowry is a wrong thing. But the point is, it will automatically empower the girl. What it does is, it empowers the girl. Okay, now data on child marriage. We will see the data on child marriage. So child marriage is widespread across India, with nearly half of brides married as girls. Okay, so child marriage is widespread across India, with early half of the brides married as girls. So it's a very shocking data. Then dropout schools have a low paid jobs and limited decision making power to at home. So this is a major factor. The thing is, drop out of schools, once the girl is drop out of school, they have low paid jobs. Okay, their job is also low paid and limited decision making power. And once the decision making power is less, the women is less empowered. She has nothing to say. She have to listen to others. So it is very important, girls, to have good education and to get a very good job and to be socially empowered, so you can take your own decisions. But if you see of late, students, if you observe recent trends, so there is a lot of increase in what? There is an increase in divorce cases. Okay, so very much you can see there is a huge number of divorce cases being filed across India. Okay, especially after post COVID scenario. This is because the one of the main reasons why the divorce cases are being filed is that lots of women, they are doing some job, they are empowered. So women, they are feeling empowered and they no more want to live under the pressure of their husbands. Okay, clear? So this is one of the reasons why the divorce cases, they are very much increasing in our society. Okay, so since many years the women who are founding themselves very much suppressed, they are gaining some form of liberation. Okay, that may be the one of the most important reasons. Okay, so a girl with 10 years of education has a 6 times lower chance of being pushed into marriage before she is 18. Okay, so this is a very important and shocking data. The girl with 10 years of education, okay, if the girl is having 10 years of education, she has 6 times lower chance, 6 times she has got a lower chance of pushing into marriage before she gets in 18. Means girls should focus more on education. Means at any how condition they have to get educated, and once they get educated, there are nowadays there are lots of good job opportunities in metro areas as well as big cities. Okay, huge opportunities are there for girls to do the job. Okay, you can see this figure of child marriage. Okay, child marriage is more prevalent in rural areas than in urban areas. You can see the percentage of child marriage is more in rural areas. Okay, rural society tends to be more rigid, guys. You can see casteism is more in rural areas. Okay, child marriage is more in rural areas, then child labor is more in the rural areas. Okay, so the society is very much rigid compared to the urban areas, because in urban areas everyone is busy with their own job. There is lots of busyness in the urban areas and people don't have time to indulge in such things. Okay, so that's why it is child marriage preventing rural areas is more compared to urban areas. Even you can see caste discrimination, it is more in rural areas compared to the urban areas. Okay, so 40% of world's 60 million child marriages takes place in India. Okay, means 40% of world child marriages they take place in India according to a national family health survey. Now you have to mention the data. So this is a very famous body or very important body, that is National Family Health Survey. Recently they have released the data of National Family Health Survey 5. Okay, they have released the data regarding National Family Health Survey 5. It is commonly known as National Family Health Survey. So you have to mention of what data it is. National Family Survey data 5, 4, 3. Okay, and if you mention such bodies, you will get more marks in exam. Okay, you have to mention such things in your answer to gain more marks. Okay, to impress the examiner. Okay, so National Family Health Survey is saying that 40% of world's child marriage takes place in India, and UNICEF says that one third child marriage takes place in India. Okay, so UNICEF being a global body and National Family Health Survey being a body within India, so NFHS is doing survey within India and it is doing door to door survey almost. So it has got, you can see that, you can say that this data is more accurate compared to UNICEF, right? So students, if you have any doubt, please comment in the comment box. Please keep the session interactive. I would suggest you guys to keep the session more of a interactive session. So Dilip, Kezia, please, if you have any problem, do mention in the comment box or ask me questions in the comment box as well. Just a minute. So India has 14th highest rate of child marriage in the world according to the International Center for Research of Women. Okay, you can also mention this data. Okay, so all the data regarding such things are very much shocking and they are related to India, that is more shocking. So poverty and child marriage, again we have to mention the vicious cycle. So poverty is the main reason behind early marriages in rural areas, as most families have large family sizes. So if you compare to urban areas, in urban areas there are nuclear families, you will find mostly nuclear families in urban areas, but in the rural areas you will find the system or the institution of joint family system. And in joint family the number of members is very huge. Okay, so there is a sense of competition in the joint families, that we have to the girls or the members had to get married very fast. So there is a sequence in within girls and within boys. So one by one everyone has to get married, and they tend to force their children to get married faster. Okay, they won't let the girls to get higher education or even primary education. There is lack of primary education as well, and only thing is they are concerned about getting married. Even if you go to rural areas, even today you can have discussion with some of the families or some of the guys there. Their only aim is by 2025 or 2023, the after once the guy crosses the age of 21 or 22, he will automatically get married. Okay, with such families, most parents are unable or unwilling to take care of their children, right? This is one of the important point. You can see in nuclear family there is one advantage, that you can personally give attention to your child can be given personal attention. But such is not the case, with the families in the rural areas. Okay, so most parents are unable or unwilling to take care of their children. They can't take care of their children. Okay, so early marriages are therefore seen as opportunities to reduce this burden. Okay, so marriages are seen as an instrument to reduce burden on the family. So girls are seen as a burden. Okay, and they are means parents want to get rid of their girls as soon as possible. Okay, so it is seen as an opportunity to reduce this burden, right? Others who cannot feed or send their children to school give young girls of marriage to older men. Okay, so this is also an issue. Okay, what happens is, okay, who cannot feed or send their children to school give young girls of marriage to older men. Means poverty basically leads to what? Child marriage. It basically leads to the concept of child marriage. Okay, so you can see that there is a very strong relation between poverty and social evils like child marriage and child labor. Some parents arrange marriage between their children and their creditors as a way of setting debts. Okay, so you can see there is a phenomenon called rural indebtedness. Okay, so this event started taking place during the British period, and it is very much prevalent in North Indian societies, in the states of North India like UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. Still there is the existence of what we call saukars or the money lenders. Okay, and money lenders charges very high rate of interest to people, and the whole life or 2 to 3 generations, okay, of that family are exploited by the money lenders and their generations. Okay, so it is seen as setting debt. Some parents, what they do, they will marry off their daughters to the money lender to settle the debts. Okay, right? So again here the angle of poverty comes again. So there was the discussion going on that marriageable age for women should be increased from 18 to 21. So it's a very good step, because at the age of 18, 18 is not, should not be a marriageable age, because the girls, they don't reach maturity. Okay, maturity in the sense of educational maturity I am saying. And once the girl, if she is older enough or she is well educated, okay, she can treat her child well, she can educate her child well, she can empower her child well. Okay, so the age factor is very 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 important in growing up of the child. Means if she gets married later on and with a empowered mindset, what she is doing is she is empowering her further generation. Okay, she will definitely give her child very good education, she will empower her child. Okay, so the decision should be taken for girls as well. Their marriageable age should also increase to 21, because by the age of 21 they may uh, even pursue higher learning, and once they get pursue higher learning, they will get a good job. The chances are there of getting or earning a good job, and once they get a good job, respectable job, they will feel empowered, and once they feel empowered they could take their own decisions. Okay, women could take their own decisions, and this would further lead to stable families and stable societies. Okay, so this is a very good step. Okay, so West Bengal is one of the 5 states in India that have high prevalence of early marriages. So we were looking at UP and Bihar, but there are chances of high prevalence of child marriages in West Bengal. Why West Bengal? Because you can see if the name is coming of West Bengal, that means there is somewhere or the other poverty like conditions increasing more in the states of West Bengal. Because whenever such news comes, you have to relate such news to the issues of poverty. Okay, clear? Okay, though 12% of girls between 15 to 19 years of age are married off nationally, in West Bengal the figure stands at 25.6%. Okay guys, so you can see that child marriage factor is more in West Bengal compared to the national average. Okay, UNICEF has said that in Madhya Pradesh, where child marriage are a constant challenge, economic pressure due to pandemic has pushed poor parents to marry off their girls early. Okay, so UNICEF has published data on Madhya Pradesh as well, and you can see Madhya Pradesh is one of the backward states or very very poor state. Okay, not very poor, but it is one of the backward and poor states. And the COVID-19 has affected the state of Madhya Pradesh as well. Okay, because Madhya Pradesh, where child marriage a constant challenge, it was there, the challenge of child marriage was very much there in Madhya Pradesh, but the economic pressure after pandemic has pushed poor challenge to marry their girls early. This has further increased because of COVID pandemic. So we will see what is the impact of child marriage on society or economy, not society, on economy, the impact of child marriage on economy. Okay, girls and boys married as children more likely to lack skills, knowledge and job prospects. Okay, so girls and boys who are married off early, okay, what they lack skills, okay, they lack knowledge as well, and they lack job prospects as well. Okay, and needed to lift their families out of poverty and contribute to their country's social and economic growth. And once they lack skill, knowledge and job, okay, they won't get money, and again they would be forced to go into poverty, right? So early marriage leads girls to have children earlier. What early marriage does is it will lead girls to have children earlier and more children over their lifetime, increasing economic burden on the household, right? So there is a common factor: once the age of the girls increases, they tend to bear less children, and once the girl who gives childbirth at early age, she will, once she is married at early age, it will be said that in her lifetime she may give birth to more children. Because she is less educated, she may give birth to more children, and this further increases the population, and there is population burden. So there is a population pressure or burden on the economy as well. So you can face the burden of the population on economy as well. So got it. So child marriage has huge impact on increasing economic burden on the household as well as the country, right? Got it. So what you see is impact of child marriage is very huge. Okay, so you have to generate awareness among society, among your families and among your relatives, that not to marry off your girls at a young age. Okay, marry them after 21, 22, or after getting a good job. So child marriage is estimated to cost economy at least 1.7% of their GDP. Okay, so the amount of what we call is the loss that our GDP is facing because of child marriage is 1.7%. That is almost 2% of our GDP is getting lost or affected because of the child marriage. Okay, you can see how much the impact is, and it's a very 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 serious issue. Okay, just a minute. It increases total fertility of women by 17%. So what is TFR? The total fertility rate, that is the amount of children a woman bears in her lifetime. So the TFR should be less, especially in country or like India. The TFR should be less so that we can get a low population growth, so that our population growth should not be that much. It increases the total fertility of women by 17%, which hurts developing countries battling high population growth. Okay, so high population puts a very huge burden in the growth of an economy or development of an economy, right? So government initiatives to stop child marriages, that we will see. The first one is but obvious, the Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929. The Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929 is there. Okay. The object is to eliminate the special evil which had potentialities of danger to the life and health of female child who could not withstand the stress and strains of marriage life, and to avoid early deaths such as minor mothers. Okay, so what it may lead? It may lead to maternal mortality. Okay, means the death of a mother while bearing a child. Okay, so Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. This act replaced the Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929, which was enacted during the British era. So means recently, just some 17 years back, this act was passed. Means this can see, you can see how much negligence there was there during our post independence period. The act should have been passed much longer. In 70s or 60s, the act regarding such thing should have been passed, but it has been passed just 17 years ago, that was in year 2006. Okay, it defines a child meant a male below 21 years and a female below 18 years. So this is the act which says that marriageable age should be 21 for male and 18 for female. Before that, getting married before that is a offense. Minor is defined as a person who has not attained the age of majority as per the Majority Act, means the age should be 18. Okay, it envisages preventing child marriage and punishment of rigorous imprisonment of 2 years or fine of rupees 1 lakh. The act also provides for appointment of child marriage prohibition officer. Okay, so this act, what it does is, it you have to mention this thing, that appointment of a child marriage prohibition officer. Which act? Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 provides for appointment of a child marriage prohibition officer whose duties are to prevent child marriage and spread awareness regarding the same. Okay, he has to spread awareness as well. Okay, clear? And this is the act that defines male below 21 years of age and female below 18 years of age. Defines child. Okay, child for male is 21 years and female child is below 18 years. Okay, right? So if you have any doubt, you can mention in the comment box. Please keep commenting. Okay, there are some comments. Okay, Kezia is asking, in urban areas is there child labor and child marriage? Yes, Kezia, very much there is prevalence of child marriage. Okay, and child labor as well, but you will see more of a child labor. You can see from your, it's a common visibility on signals or any other areas. You may see restaurants on, you can see child labor. Okay, but prevalence of child marriage is less compared to rural areas. In urban areas there are less child marriages compared to rural areas. Okay, but nowadays the awareness is increasing a lot. Okay, and you can see the events of child marriage is more in the northern Indian states like MP, Chhattisgarh, then Rajasthan. More of you will see such things in tribal communities. Okay, but the awareness is increasing a lot. Okay, so there are registration of marriages, and during the registration the age is also looked upon, and even the village society, they are becoming very much aware. Okay, so they are also preventing the events of child marriages. They will also marry of their children, daughters above 18 years. Okay, any other questions you can ask me. Okay, so these things are very serious issue, as we have seen that it is also putting burden on our economy as well, because it is affecting our GDP by 1.7%. that is only child marriage, they are affecting our GDP by 1.7%, and you should be able to answer how the child marriages are affecting the economy. You have to mention the points that once you get early married, you tend to means you won't get proper education, so you won't get proper skills and you won't get proper job, and once you won't get proper job, you won't have money with you, and that will lead you that you may enter the cycle of poverty, and once you enter poverty, again the cycle goes on and on, right? So we will stop our session here. Thank you, students. Okay, and please revise the things again. Okay, that is, this section is not that much difficult. Social justice, it's a very simple thing. Just one thing you have to remember is the laws and their year. Okay, thank you.